Welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. I'm Joanne, a female entrepreneur, small business coach, and a creative business owner on a mission to help and inspire other women out there who want to make a decent living doing something they love. If you have your own small business, or maybe you've been thinking about starting one but not sure where to start, then this podcast is for you. I share everything I know about starting a creative business from my own experience of running my handmade stationery company, Twee. It's as honest and as down to earth as me, and it's an eclectic mix of sound business advice, northern humour, and real life, because it's not easy, is it? This podcast celebrates the selflessness, the strength, and resilience of women, because we possess a superpower so great that we can handle whatever life throws at us and come out the other side. We are survivors, we are warriors, and we are as determined as hell to succeed. Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I hope everything is well and good with you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and while you're listening to me today. So, I wanted to do an episode on Christmas because it's fast approaching, whether we like it or not, and it might be stressing you out as a small business owner. I know that it is me. And we need to be prepared. I got to thinking about the importance of being prepared and ready when it comes to dealing with the unexpected. It's after my little girl was ill a couple of days ago, actually. So it wasn't anything serious, standard germs that are flying around school this time of year. In fact, she told me last week, actually, that a girl in her class had literally coughed in her face. So it was obviously inevitable, she was going to get poorly. But anyway, she wasn't well. So I was there rummaging around in our pathetic excuse for a first aid box. Honestly, I'm not kidding you, it's ridiculous. And I was looking for the bloody thermometer. I eventually found it, but then I just couldn't find those little plastic sheath cover things, that go over the end. You can't use it without them, or it just won't work. So I couldn't find that. That was stressing me out. Then I'm trying to shake the dregs out of a Calpol bottle, which was running on empty, because she's not needed it for a long while. And I just didn't realise that we were out of it. So I just had this major stress at my husband, like a crazy woman, shouting that we were the worst parents ever. It was so unprepared for any kind of medical emergency. Not that it was, but it could have been. That was my point. And I just always thought that I'd be one of those parents that had a fully stocked cupboard of everything that you could possibly need for your child to cover any eventuality. Medicines, plasters, knit shampoo, chickenpox foam, whatever it is that they have these days. You name it, I'd have it to hand, right? Turns out I am not that person. I actually have multiple bottles of half-empty Calpol scattered around the rooms in the house, none of which I can find when I need them. My daughter's taken all the plasters out of my first aid box and put them on every bloody soft toy she owns when she's playing vets. And I think I've got some out-of-date Vicks somewhere, which I needed the other night, actually, and she was stuffed up. But then she rubbed it in her eye, and that was just a whole other drama. Yeah. So it turns out that, I was more the kind of mother that I should have known merely by the fact that we get down to one toilet roll and we realise that one of us needs to make an emergency trip to the co-op. And God forbid if there was ever a nuclear war, honestly, I'd be hot-footing it to my dad's, who's got a whole bunker of supplies in his back bedroom. I'm not kidding you, right? We counted 94 toilet rolls the other day, all stacked up in there. He bought off bulk from TikTok, right, honestly. So Christmas is coming. Be prepared. This is the message of the day. And it might be stressing you out because you're either going to be really busy or you're worried about how you're going to cope with everything else that's going on in your life at the same time as working. Or it might be the flip side of the coin and it's stressing you out because you're wondering why you're not busy and worried about how you're going to cope with no money coming in. I know because I've been on both sides. I've been in both boats and you just can't win. So I can help on this podcast episode no matter which one applies to you. And I want to talk about that today. Managing your expectations at this time of year and not beating yourself up about it if Christmas just isn't a busy time for you. We can't be busy all the time. I think it's really important to remember that. We are not funeral directors. There's not this constant need where your service is in demand all the time. But it's not essential, is what I'm saying. So whatever you do, and whatever you specialise in, it will fulfil a purpose of some kind, but it's not going to form like a critical part of existence, is it? People don't depend on it. So naturally, you're going to have these peaks and troughs in your sales because it's not needed all the time. But there will be patterns that you'll notice in your sales once you've been going maybe for a year or two, and you'll get to know when your peaks and troughs are, when you're busy and when you're not. And you can either enjoy the troughs if you don't want to be busy all the time, because there's nothing wrong with that, or you can try and find a way to keep your sales more consistent during these quiet times. It totally depends on what you want from your business. I read something the other day and it really stuck in my mind, and I wanted to tell you about it on this episode. And it was on social media and it just said something like, sell to seasons, not to people. And I thought that that was quite a good mantra for anyone with a creative, like product-based business. Because we're not talking trends here, okay? Because they come and go. And honestly, they can sometimes be a bit of a waste of time. You can spend weeks developing a new product that just isn't fashionable a few months later. We're talking seasons here. We're talking seasons that don't change, winter, spring, summer, autumn, and all the occasions that fall within those seasons. Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween. And actually, I think it's a really helpful way to look at your products, because you can see what and when certain things sell. And if there's any way that you can add different products to your range that might appeal to people during your quiet periods, if that's what you want. So I'll give you an example. When I said I've been on both sides of the Christmas dilemma, I meant it. So for a good few years, my stationery company, Vintage Twee, was mainly focused on weddings. It was very seasonal. I had a very busy period from around February to August, so approximately 7 months of the year. And then September would roll around and there'd be nothing. Like, everyone had got married. The kids were back at school, so everyone was stressed about that. No one was planning a wedding because it was too cold and miserable outside with the dark nights. And everyone's priority had shifted to Christmas. So I'd be sat there for like 4 months of the year, just watching all these other creative small business owners showing me on Instagram how busy they were, with their smug photos of them stood next to a pile of orders ready to go to the post office, the ones I mean. Or their endless posts, about their order books just being full until the end of the year, and they couldn't possibly take on any more work. And I'd be just sat there, like twiddling my thumbs, sending myself emails to make sure that they were working. I did that loads. And why didn't I have 100 orders a day like other people? It's obviously just a technical fault, so I kept telling myself, no, I just wasn't busy. And I kind of just accepted that that was the way that it was for me. I was a wedding stationer, and I'd be using the money that I'd made during my peak times to survive during the 4 months of the year that I was dead, which, as you can imagine, just isn't sustainable, especially when you do it full time like I do. So I kind of lived like this for about 4 years with Vintage Twee before my mum, she came to me and she said, Joanne, can you create something for Christmas maybe that will just help tick you over while you're quiet? Like, can you adapt one of your wedding items and just make it suitable for Christmas? And I just remember thinking when she said that, oh, no, like, don't be stupid. Like, I work in weddings and that's just the way it is at this time of year. Like, I can't possibly develop a Christmas product that's totally irrelevant to what I already do. But, her words played on my mind while I was just sat one night in my little flat, eating beans on toast again for tea, wondering how I was going to pay my rent that month. And as usual, she was right. She was always right. And I started making, I think it was just a version of my cupcake sticks that I'd have at weddings, but I started making them for Christmas for people to use at their family parties or buffets or whatever. And then I sort of adapted these wedding favours that I create as well that could be used for Christmas dinner parties or as stocking fillers. And then the next year, I started working on some magical things for kids. Like, I really got into the swing of it then. I was thinking like Christmas Eve kits, letters to and from Santa, etc. And I just sort of added to it year on year. And it worked. And I went from selling nothing in the run up to Christmas to being one of those annoying people taking selfies of themselves, stood next to their sack of orders, going to the post office. Except the difference is I never posted the photos because I knew there are people in the same boat as I was, a couple of years prior to this, that would be feeling pretty crap and stressed about Christmas being the quietest time of year for them. And just wondering how they were going to pay their rent or mortgage too. Like, I know how that felt. And to this day, I still don't do that. I don't believe that it's productive or helpful. If you're busy, great. Just don't brag about it. So if that's you right now, you're sat here dreading Christmas because you feel like you're the only one in the creative world that isn't selling anything, at the so-called busiest time of the year, then please don't worry. Like, you aren't alone. Maybe Christmas isn't for you and your products, and that's okay. But maybe if you look at it a little different, it could be like it was for me. Like, do you have an existing product that you can adapt or tweak just to give it a festive twist or purpose? I mean, it doesn't have to, you don't have to go full on Santa's workshop. You don't have to have everything red and white. You don't need to start making Santa sacks and reindeer food and all that crap. You can still stay true to you and your work and just adapt some of your existing products to fit with the season. So let's say, for example, you make candles. Can you create a range that has a scent associated with Christmas? Like cinnamon, gingerbread, or an autumn themed candle, pumpkin spiced. I don't know, because now I'm just hungry, but you get what I mean, right? If maybe you knit or you crochet, can you make beautiful stockings or an advent calendar that can be kept and reused for years to come? If you make ceramics or pottery, can you maybe create like an autumn or winter range of things like soup bowls or mugs for hot chocolate and mulled wine? Like, you get where I'm going, okay? But I'm sure if you sat down with a notepad and wrote down your existing products, you could come up with at least probably 2 to 3 seasonal variations or new products even. And these 2 or 3 products will be the start of your seasonal range. And this is how it grows. So it's not by jumping on what everyone else is doing. It's really not. It's about keeping it relevant to your business and what you do best. And that's the only way you're going to come up with a seasonal range that is going to stand the test of time. So if you're not mad busy at Christmas time, you can either choose to enjoy the peace, depending on how desperate you are for cash, or you could try and introduce a couple of festive variations to your existing range, which is exactly what I did. Now, I said I've been on both sides of the Christmas dilemma, didn't I? And I really have. So a couple of years ago, it was absolutely madness. I was drowning in these Santa letters that I'd introduced to my range. I was only expecting to maybe get a few orders for them for the first year and watch it gradually build up, which it generally does. First year, you don't normally get that many, and then the next year, it snowballs. It's been on the internet longer, it's been circulating, people have seen it, and you'll start seeing it grow. Anyway, I happened to post something in a social media group, or it's like a local mums group or something on Facebook, and they just blew up. Like, I'd actually only bought enough stuff to make about 20 of them. Right, so it turns out I needed to have bought enough stuff to make another 980 of the bloody things. Like, I sold over 1,000 of them in the space of 2 months. And that was phenomenal for me. Like, that had never happened. And that had been, 10 years in business? Um, and I think that year I was actually working up until Christmas Eve. I remember it was day and night. I had a 3-year-old at the time who was only in nursery twice a week. She was awake pretty much all night too, still is. I was absolutely knackered. And I had absolutely no system. Like, I was ordering all my supplies as and when I needed them off Amazon because it was next day delivery and it was quick and I needed them there and then. And I didn't want to order in bulk off anywhere because I just didn't know when the orders would stop coming in. And it turns out on this occasion, they didn't stop coming in right up until Christmas Eve. So I did spend a lot more than I needed to on materials, and I did make a lot less profit than I wanted to. But at least I had a measure now to prepare for the next year, which could be totally different. It wasn't massively different, but it wasn't as busy. But I knew, I had an idea of what I needed to order in. And sometimes you just have to try it and just see how it goes. So, what did I learn from that whole crazy time that's going to help you? If you're sat there worried about how much do you order in to do your Christmas orders, what do you invest in? Do you take the chance? Do you not? Well, I learned that the best thing, regardless, is just to get prepped. So do a bit of groundwork, see if you think something is going to sell. If you've got a good feeling, sometimes gut feeling is enough. If not, ask around on Facebook, ask around to friends and family, see what they like, what they think is good out of your range, what you've designed, and get the stuff ready to make it. Like I say, if you're not sure, maybe you haven't made it before, so you don't know how it's going to do. In this case, I would probably just buy enough materials to maybe make, say, 20 or so, depending on what it is that you do. Not too much that it will be a waste of money if they don't sell. And then I would just try and drum up some interest before you actually launch the product. So maybe put some information about them or photos on social media or your website and ask people their thoughts. Like, it builds the excitement and it plants the seed in people's minds of your stuff and what's going to be available for them. Like, they may not buy it there and then, but the seed is planted and they're thinking, oh yeah, I might come back to that in a couple of weeks' time. So get it online, get it out there, even if it's not live on your website yet. If you do know that you're going to be busy, just get as much as you can prepped. Like, I'm talking everything. I'm talking cut your bubble wrap up, your tissue paper, you build your postage boxes. That always helps me massively when I can just grab one off the shelf, because making bloody postage boxes up when you're stressed and you're busy. God, I've had endless paper cuts, really stresses me out. So I have all my boxes ready to go on the shelf now. Get your ribbon and your sellotape ready. When my mum was alive and she used to work for me, she used to be my chief packer. So she would package all my orders for me. And she had a box, like a little plastic storage box that she kept all her supplies in, like her scissors, a ribbon, a sellotape, a little box of my business cards, labels. It was like her pride and joy. She'd carry it around with her. Like, she's coming to my house to do the packing, she'd bring her little box with her. And it was always full. Like, she never ran out of anything. Because I think she just enjoyed buying the little bits to stock it up. It was like her job, her role. And, I've still got the box and I still use it as my packaging supply box, but it's just always low on everything because I just forget to restock it, a bit like toilet rolls. So I'll just end up scrabbling around for like the dregs of sellotape in another box where I keep like all my birthday supplies, spare cards in case I've forgotten someone's birthday, gift bags I was given, can re-gift them, you know what I mean? We've all got one, haven't we? And if you know it's going to be busy, like, get some help in. Like, I am all for doing everything on my own. Like, I'm terrible for admitting when I need help. And I really only, if I'm honest, trusted my mum, because I've been let down a few times by various people that I brought in to help me. But sometimes you just have to let go of that control and just wave the white flag. Chuck some money at the problem if you can. And if you're doing all right anyway and you're busy and you can justify it financially, pay a trusted friend or a colleague to help you. Like, I think minimum wage here now in the UK for over 21s is something like £11.44, something like that. So even if you get help for like 3 hours, a morning or an afternoon, whatever, it's just over £30, which I'm sure if you're that busy, you won't miss it. But the help and everything that you get from it will be invaluable for you, for your stress levels. It's worth it. And if you've got a young person involved, maybe like college age, 16, 17, I think minimum wage is half of that, like £6.40 or something. So you can afford them for longer. And kids that age, they're just so grateful of the chance for work. Like, they want to get involved, they want to help. And it's a lovely, perfect little job for someone, isn't it? On a Saturday or whatever, after school, to come and help. Find yourself someone trusted. Just make sure that whoever you ask for help is switched on. They've got to be able to be your second pair of eyes and your second pair of hands as well. Oh, and avoid dads if you can. They often put wrong labels on the wrong orders and they require constant monitoring. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening to this. But that was a fun Christmas in the studio, wasn't it? To be fair, when I was that busy, like, my dad was amazing at doing all the post office runs for me. You should take my big sacks of orders and it would just run them out for me while I carried on working. And that helps so much. You've got to play to people's strengths, haven't you? Okay, you've got some ideas for Christmas. Maybe you've already made them and you're ready to get them out there. Where are you going to sell them? Well, there's a few places and things that you could try that I think are particularly successful in the run up to Christmas. I think the first and probably the most obvious is social media. Now, normally, I just never recommend it for selling because it's not usually the best place. People on there, they're looking for entertainment. They're looking for information or answers to a problem generally, not to buy like a random item that just pops up on their feed. However, this time of year is kind of an exception to that rule because people do have a problem that needs solving. And that's what the hell they can buy for their husband or their dad or their auntie who's got everything that they need. Like, people are stressed. They're rushing around, they're out of ideas. They just want someone to take this problem off their plate. And to us, the small business owners with the answers to their prayers, people, they're in the buying mindset at this time of year. And a lot of people spend their time hours and hours a day on social media. And actually, it can be a really good place to catch their eye. Yes, of course, there's still an element of chance because your product needs to fit to some degree with what they're looking for in that moment. But you can increase your reach by using like relevant hashtags such as gift ideas for her, or what did I see was a good one and trending the other day? Oh yeah, hashtag Christmas gift ideas 2024. Like, you can put these hashtags on your post to try and reach people looking for those things. And that way you can just get your stuff in front of the right people, the ones that are searching for gift ideas, for example. Just make sure that you're specific, you're not too general with your hashtags, like, say who they are for. I don't just put hashtag Christmas gift, put hashtag Christmas gift for him, or hashtag husband gift idea. Notice I'm talking about men and husbands because they're always really hard to buy for, aren't they? And bear in mind that you want to be solving a problem for someone and you need to go in with this angle with your social media posts. Like, no hard sell because it's annoying, isn't it? Like, give them a story instead. So I'll give you an example. So say you want to drum up some interest in something new that you've created. I don't know, maybe it's some personalized pajamas. I don't know, I'm using this example actually because that's another search term that's trending, just for your information. Personalized pajamas. And a lot of people are into this fad of wearing matching festive pajamas, aren't they, at the moment? And they have been for a while. So all the family look the same. I mean, it doesn't happen in our house because my daughter won't stay in her pajamas for longer than 30 seconds after her eyes open because she just tells me it reminds her of going to bed, and that's boring. So she's always like fully dressed, eating breakfast in either like an Elsa outfit or full on party wear at 7 a.m. as if she's going to some 5-year-old rave, honestly. I'm just making my coffee, and like first thing is she's prancing around the kitchen wanting to play nail salon ladies or something equally as energetic. It's torture, honestly. Anyway, I digress. So personalised pyjamas, right? If it were me wanting to get in them, wanting to get in them, I don't want to get in them, but if it's me wanting to get them in front of people, first of all, I would think, right, who is going to want them? Not my 60-year-old neighbour who lives alone, but she follows me on social media and just likes everything I post anyway. No, you want the families. And in particular, you want the mums. Because let's be honest, men aren't asked about personal PJs, are they? So you need to go for the jugular. You need to hit the Facebook mum groups, the school crowd, the mums in business support groups. Because the women, they hold the power on their purse strings at Christmas. And you want to appeal to them. Most likely they're sat there thinking, oh, I've got to find these personalised pyjamas again this year because so-and-so's grown out of the old ones and that one's got a hole in it and so-and-so spilled bolognese down the other one. So they're sat there looking for someone to tell them, where are the perfect family pyjamas for me? They don't want to be stressing that B&M have sold out in September already and they're just left with something they've ordered off Temu, which probably won't come until Christmas 2025. No, you need to tell them this is what you do. You can have them delivered. You can have them ready for pickup, whatever, in a week. And you'll just take care of it all. So you want to phrase your posts in a way that makes them think that you are the answer to their gift buying problems, because you are. Think about what your product is good for and tell them how it will help them. Other places that you might want to be selling your Christmas range could be fairs and markets if you do these. They're always a bit hit and miss, aren't they? But generally they are better at this time of year because, again, people are in the buying mode. They're looking for solutions to their gift dilemmas. They actually enjoy going to these gift and craft fairs because it's kind of part of the Christmas spirit, and they make an effort to go with the intention of buying. So if you're doing fairs this year, make sure that you let people know in advance, like in plenty of time, where you're going to be and what you're going to have with you. Because, again, people like to know when they turn up somewhere what to expect. I used to get it when I did Christmas fairs. I don't do them anymore. But when I did, I used to say exactly what I was taking with me. And people would come to my stall and say, oh, I've seen this on Facebook, I've come to buy it. So they came with that intention, and that's how you get them to part with their money. You want them to be ready and willing to buy. So post whatever it is that you're going to have with you and where you're going to be in local Facebook groups. I'm a member of one in my area. It has something like 25,000 members, right? And people mainly use it to moan about three things in particular, if I'm honest. So third place, it's dog poo. Dog owners being named and shamed with like actual CCTV evidence of their dog dumping on someone's lawn and not picking it up. Like, they just totally name and shame them. Second place, most popular topic on there is potholes. Notoriously bad where I live in Derbyshire. One took my tyre out a few months back. So everybody likes to complain about them. And they actually post pictures of themselves with rulers or meter sticks, measuring the depth of the hole. I kid you not. This is how they spend their time. And in first place, the thing that holds the title for the most complained about thing on the Glossop Facebook group is traffic. It's horrendous. Traffic is horrendous around here, but good God, give it a rest, But local Facebook groups, they can be really useful for drumming up some business. A lot of my existing customers now found me on the Glossop page or the pages around where I live. So I would just post with the angle of saying, there's a community event that's being held. It's very important that we support small businesses for the local economy, etc., etc. And then mention that you're going to be there, with X, Y, and Z, whatever it is you're taking. So you're not saying, oh, I make these, I'm selling them. Would you like to buy one? Come and find me at this fair. You're going in with an angle of, it's community focused. We want to be supporting the local. We want to be pumping money into our local economy. Oh, and I'm going to be there with these. And then when you're there and you're stood in front of all your stuff, hoping for an influx of buyers, don't stress. Like, just don't stress about it. Just turn up, put your stuff out, smile, wear a Christmas jumper, have like a bowl on your stall or something with some free chocolates that people passing can help themselves to. Like, really get in the festive spirit and just take that pressure off yourself. Because people will notice if you're relaxed and you're calm and you're inviting, and it will bring in more sales. And of course, you want to make your stall as appealing as possible, because people are going to be more likely to buy off you if you look friendly, you look relaxed, you don't look desperate. That's always a fear, isn't it, at craft fairs, that you're just stood there looking desperate, waiting for someone to come over and buy your stuff. Do you talk to them? Do you not? It's really awkward, isn't it? It's like being on a first date. My other advice is I'd leave the husbands at home. I'd take any older children with you who want to help and be involved. If they're into it, they enjoy it, they're not going to moan, take them with you. It's a great selling tactic because, honestly, dress them up as an elf or something. Like, give them the bowl to hand out sweets, totally exploit them. People love it. It's all about starting a conversation at these Christmas fairs. And if you can do that, you're halfway there to making a sale. Other places that you could sell your festive range and your work are school fairs, if your stuff is suitable, obviously. I mean, again, I find the local community is great at this time of year. If you're on a marketplace, say like Etsy, and not on the high street, you've obviously got those online channels as well. They do particularly well at Christmas. But try local shops. Like, I put my children's Christmas Eve kits on the counter in my local post office, which was so good, actually. I didn't expect it to be at all, but I had a captive audience, like, queuing up at Christmas, because actually community post offices are a really good shout. I'm not talking like the massive big ones where you haven't got a chance, but I'm talking about the ones that are inside like a village store or a shop of some kind, especially if you know the owner because you're there all the time, bringing your orders in. Ask them. I know the owner of ours. I think he only took like £1 per sale off me, and they were about £10 at the time. And I shifted about 15 of them. It wasn't a massive number, but I think I made like £135 that I wouldn't have done anyway. And I didn't need to do anything because there was always someone there manning the shop. I didn't have to be there running the store. Um, so it was really good. It was kind of like free money as such. So try that. A little basket on the countertop of a local shop that's complementary to what you do. So have a think about somewhere that your stuff would fit and approach them. So you've got you've got your Christmas products, you've got a plan of where to sell them. So the last thing that you need to do is make sure that you stand out, because there's just so much competition out there at this time of year, particularly, isn't there? So how can you be different? Well, first of all, you need to have something that people want, which is probably the most important thing. So scour groups, scour Facebook groups, ask around, see what people are talking about and what they're looking for, because that will make it a hell of a lot easier to sell it. But then you need to go above and beyond that when it comes to your offering. So what can you do to stand out, to be different? Like, maybe you can offer free gift wrapping with every order. Like, just show them, like, do a reel, a video, whatever. Show them of what your product will look like when they receive it. They don't even need to wrap it. Perfect. That solves a problem for a lot of people. A lot of people hate wrapping. I'm weird. I love wrapping. I take pride in it. I like set aside a whole few nights run up to Christmas just to wrap my presents. And I think it's really, really exciting. But not everybody feels like that. They just see it as a chore. So have it wrapped for them. Show them what it would look like. And I read that you should always include an image of your finished product, like how it's presented and how it's wrapped, within the first 4 images of your product listings, whether it's on your website, on Etsy, not on the high street, wherever you sell, your Facebook page. Make sure there is a picture on there within the first 4 images of what it looks like when it's wrapped. Because it's like people flick through your images, they'll get bored and they'll come off it. So you need to capture their attention right at the beginning. Can you maybe drop it off at their house to stand out? Can you say to them, I will deliver this to you? Or can you offer a collection day where they can come to your house if they're local and pick it up? Leave it in the porch, have a collection box. That's what I do, because I can't be in all the time when people tell me that they want to come. So I have a big box and I put people's orders in it. Luckily I live in a safe area, and touch wood, nothing has been stolen yet. But yeah, obviously it's a risk, but we live in a cul-de-sac, so it's nice. And people can come and just pick it up on that day, whatever day they say. I leave it out there from like 9 in the morning till 5 in the evening. It just takes that pressure off of having to be in to hand orders over. So have a think about that. Can you include a personalised message to whoever it's for? Can you offer like a free gift? So this year, I don't know if you've seen it on my social media pages, but I'm including these like loom bands that my 8-year-old niece Bonnie has made, just to make people smile and remember me. Because you've got to think about how you can wow people at this time of year, because it's an investment. And honestly, it will secure you a loyal customer base that will just keep coming back every year. Trust me, they do. I think I've had the same customers now for like 4 or 5 years. And I sort of know that they're guaranteed sales every year. It's a bit of security for you. So I've actually dedicated my next newsletter to this whole topic of prepping for Christmas as a small business owner. And it's got some really helpful tips and advice on like the practical, like easy to implement things that you can do to get ready to sell your stuff. Like, I've included a checklist, which I'm going to do now on every edition from here on out. And it's a checklist of small business owner tasks that you should be doing for that month, just to keep your business moving forward. It's a bit like ones that you see in like gardening magazines, and they say, right, it's the month of July. This is what you need to be doing in your garden. You tick them all off. You're like, yep, done it, and you feel great. So I've got the same sort of principle now for my newsletter. There's also a section in there that I've called Monthly Insights. And in this, I've included the top search terms, like the things that people are seeking out and typing in Google and in online marketplaces like Etsy and not on the high street, to help you with your keywords and also give you some ideas for new products, because you want to know what people are looking for so that you can meet that need and that demand. And there's also a section on there with some useful resources for like the topic of the month, whatever it will be. So in this case, it's Christmas. I've included a link to like a fab article with over 100 social media post ideas for Christmas, just to drive engagement, and a couple of other useful tools as well. So if you're not on my mailing list, it's totally free. Get yourself on it. I'll put a link in the show notes, or you can visit my website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk/newsletter, or it's under the free resources section. You'll only ever get one a month, like no spam whatsoever. I'll just send you the newsletter. The first one will be out on the 1st of November. And, I haven't sent one out since June, I think. I think even prior to that, actually, I was pretty inconsistent with them. And I had a lot going on, but I stopped in June because I had a little knock to my confidence when a few people unsubscribed to it. And I might take taking it a bit too personal, or a lot personal. So last week I decided, right, stop it, Joanne, come on. You've got people there who have signed up, who want to be on the list and want to hear from you. So give them what they need and what you promised them. So I decided to start it up again, but this time to have a clear format. It's really valuable to small business owners. The kind of stuff that I would have wanted to know, on a different topic every month. It's clear, it's concise, it's useful. So I decided to let the ladies know who signed up to the newsletter, and I sent them like a pretty vulnerable email. I was telling them the reasons why I hadn't sent one in a while, and my confidence was knocked, etc., etc. And you know what I got back? Another unsubscription. I mean, seriously, are they that annoying? Like, I only send them once a month, and I hadn't for 5 months anyway. But I get emails every day from some companies that I've unsubscribed to numerous times. I've just given up. So I was pretty gutted, to be honest, when that came through. But then on the back of that, I also got 3 positive replies from people saying how glad they were to see that I was back. And that made me feel better. So in all serious now, you can unsubscribe at any time. Just be kind about it. That's all I'm asking. But that's all for today. I hope it's helped you get a little clearer about Christmas. And remember, if you need any help whatsoever with your small business, I'm here. Email me. You can DM me on Instagram. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'm under Joanne Pierce. You'll see me smiling back at you. I'll get back to you. That's what I'm here for. And thank you for listening. I'm sending lots and lots of sales energy your way for the run up to Christmas, if that's what you want. And I really hope that this episode has helped you feel confident about what's possible to achieve. Even if it's not this year, you can lay the groundwork and look to next year as being a year that you launch a festive range, just to help tide you over during quiet periods. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you then.